Number 5 is Hunter x Hunter. Hunter x Hunter follows the story of Gon Freaks, a young boy whose father left when he was a baby. Our story begins with Gon being told that his father left him to pursue a career as a hunter. Now, hunters are licensed professionals whose job could range from hunting criminals, discovering new species of animals, thinking that this may bring him closer to his father. Along the way, he meets Killua and Krapika, who become his close friends. Now, what I've enjoyed about this manga is the pursuit of Gon's father. Although the characters of Gon, Killua and Krapika are really good, my favourite characters in this manga are the villains. The likes of Hisoka, Crollo and his Phantom Troop. They're just so cool, and the interactions between them all is amazing. The story also dives into Nen, which are special abilities that a person can produce or generate. Now, the fight scenes in this manga are truly spectacular as you uncover different abilities, and the way that the characters use those abilities is amazing. Now, the only sad thing about this manga is that it is still on hiatus, and I would love to see it progress, but it should definitely be on your reading list. Number 4 is Vinland Saga. And Vinland Saga is a manga that I've only started to read earlier this year, and I'm so glad I did. This manga is set in the Vikings age, and it follows the story of Thorfinn, a young man looking for redemption for his father, who was brutally murdered and betrayed. Now, the kicker to this is the fact that Thorfinn now works for the man who actually killed him, Askeladd. Now, Thorfinn is a great character. We meet him as a brutish, erratic young man, hell-bent on getting revenge for his father. He'll do anything to get revenge. And one of the reasons why he's part of Askeladd's crew is because Askeladd has promised him a fight to the death if he follows Askeladd's orders. There are numerous times where Askeladd depends on Thorfinn's ability and his cutthroat nature, and he uses that for his own advantage. And the two characters have fought multiple times, and Askeladd has always got the better of the two. Now, what really gripped me in this manga was Askeladd himself. This character is really well written. He's charismatic, his charisma and his wit will really make the early chapters of Vinland Saga really enjoyable for you. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but the character development of Thorfinn is superb. Who he was to who he is now, the transition of this character is incredible. Now, if you love Vikings and you're after a strong story, this is one that you should definitely read. Number 3 is Death Note. Death Note is a popular manga which gained many more followers when its anime aired, and I have to admit, I'm one of those people as well. I didn't read the manga, but I watched the anime, and it was really unique. Death Note follows the story of Yagami Light, a student who one day discovers a notebook with the ability to kill people. Yagami is greeted by a Shinigami, or a death god, who explains what the Death Note is, and so, thinking of dishing out some justice, Yagami decides to kill criminals to make the world a more peaceful place. The dilemma here, though, is it okay for Yagami to bestow judgment on these individuals? Of course, some people believe that he's doing good, and others think that this is pure murder. Now, as this is occurring, the police believe that this is an act of terrorism, and so they hire the world's best detective to find out what is happening. And all we know about this detective is his name, L. He has solved countless murders and mysteries. This manga is very intense, and the story is very well written. The interactions between Yagami and L are amazing, and some of the best between two characters in all of manga. Once you start reading this manga, you'll definitely want to know how it ends. Number 2 is Monster. Monster holds a dear place in my heart, as it was the first manga that I ever read. Growing up, I was only exposed to Dragon Ball Z on Cartoon Network, but a few friends introduced me to manga, and they were reading Monster at the time, and so I decided to pick it up. Monster is a masterpiece. It follows the life of a promising young neurosurgeon, Dr. Kenzo Tenma. It begins with Tenma conflicted by the ethics and political stance his colleagues have within their roles. Many of his colleagues value status and reputation over saving the life of a person. One day, Tenma is confronted with the choice of saving the life of a young boy or a mayor. His colleagues and the hospital director instruct him to operate on the mayor, but Tenma refuses and operates on the young boy because he was called into the hospital earlier and Tenma was due to operate on this young boy. Tenma saves the boy to the detriment of his own reputation. And if we skip forward, 9 years pass by, and what we find is that the young boy that Dr. Tenma saved becomes a serial killer. Filled with regret and guilt, Tenma starts his journey to find the young boy and stop him. The title Monster is the perfect title for this masterpiece, following the life of a genius doctor as he descends down through the depths and horrors of human nature. Will Dr. Tenma become a monster to stop the monster that is the young boy? Well, you'll just have to read it and find out. Okay, so my number one pick is Berserk. Now, before I say anything about Berserk, I recognize that Berserk probably isn't for everyone. It deals with some really emotional and disturbing issues. But this manga, hands down, is the best manga that I've ever read. This manga by Kentaro Miura was originally published in 1989 and it's still running. It's dubbed the #1 dark fantasy, and it's just that. And Berserk fans out there only know too well about its hiatus. We've had to wait a long time for chapter releases, but when we do get a chapter release, it's a nugget of gold. There's no other illustrator like Kentaro Miura. The art of the manga, the story of the manga, absolutely everything about this manga is just amazing. Berserk follows the story of Guts, a wild and vengeful man out to kill demons. We're not given a lot of information about Guts to start off with, only that he's a merciless killer on a quest to find Griffith, a former ally and friend. Guts' development throughout the manga is one of the best character developments I've ever come across. Guts' journey takes him through various different places, and along the way he's met with a whole cast of characters who eventually become his friends. Now Guts' past is shrouded in mystery. Without spoiling anything, all I can tell you is that Berserk's past is just filled with misery. The amount of things that this man has had to endure is so painful. Now this manga is quite graphic, and this literally is shown on the very first page, and Berserk fans will know what I mean. As I mentioned, this manga deals with some really heavy issues such as betrayal, rape, incest, demonic figures, and so much more. But what will keep you engaged is the story of Guts and his relationship and interaction with others. Now it is a very dark, graphic and gory manga, but it is a must read, and you'll find it as the #1 manga in many websites and polls. It is one that I would definitely recommend you should read, but it is intended for a more mature audience. And that's it. Thanks for listening to my top 5 manga. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there a manga that you would recommend me to read or to review? Leave a comment down below. A like would be super appreciated, and subscribe to my channel for more manga and anime reviews.